Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
I saw this conspiracy theory. I'm not sure how true it is, but you know how like so many multiplayer games have a cast of like incredibly diverse characters? It's like there'll be different pronouns or different ethnicities or different sexualities. Apparently there's a thing like, I don't know how true this is like schizo theories, right? There's a company called BlackRock, and they're like the biggest company in the world because they own assets in all the other companies. So they're bigger than like Amazon, bigger than Apple, because they own shares in all these companies. And apparently they have like this thing called like, the guy that owns it, Larry Fink, he's like ultra lefty. And he believes in like something called ESG, like environmental, social, and governance. And it's like companies will purposely put diverse characters in a game to boost their ESG score, even though they know the player base will hate it, because they'll actually receive more funding from BlackRock. Because it'll be like, okay, this company here increased their ESG score, we're going to pump 500 mil into their company. Even though they know the player base will absolutely hate this choice, they'll do it anyway, knowing that they're going to get more money from BlackRock.
This isn't a conspiracy. This is fact. This is exactly why it seems like every company in existence is ignoring their target market and adding all this woke stuff. They're getting enough money back from BlackRock to make up the difference in the money that they're losing out by alienating their consumers.
Did y'all see where the FBI showed up at this girl's house? Over some posts she made on Facebook.
We just move in front of the house so the dogs don't go crazy. I need you to identify yourself and let me take imagery of your IDs.
I'm not gonna share my credentials.
So you said you were with the FBI? And why won't you show me your credentials? I didn't really take a look at them. I said, 1 second, I'll be right back. Are you gonna show me your credentials or no?
Yeah, we did already. So, and we identified ourselves. So what we'd like to do...
I didn't look at your credentials. Again, I didn't verify them. I told you to wait, and I went inside.
Okay, that's correct. What we'd like to do is just have a conversation with you about some...
No, I would not. I would like you to later talk on with my lawyer. Do you have identification cards? No. I'll get back to you. What's the number? What are the names of the agents? So you're refusing to identify yourselves. Again, I did not take a look.
So the phone number for the FBI is 405-290-7770.
Okay. And tell him that Facebook flagged me for posts. Okay. So we no longer live in a free country and we can't say what we want? Well, you can't arrest me for freedom of speech. We live in America. Exactly. So it's kind of weird that you want to come talk to me about me exercising my freedom of speech. Okay. So do you have a conversation with everybody on the neighborhood? I mean, all I've done is exercise my right as an American citizen on a public social media platform with my personal opinions, correct? Okay. Most of the individuals, right, in America, especially older generation, right, have Facebook. Are you questioning all the citizens in America? Okay, so you have concerns about my personal opinions? I'm definitely not gonna have a talk with you. Okay, they're so-called FBI. This is Rola Abdel-Jawad in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This is America.
Something about that whole interaction seems suspicious. Those guys didn't look like legit FBI agents on an official assignment. Something seemed off. I absolutely love the way that lady handled that, though. You see all these social media arrests going on in the UK right now. You think they don't want to model that same federal authority over here? That clip was all the proof I need to show me that the federal government is scared of our right to free speech and wants to squash it.
Publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
That was the director of public prosecutions in England and Wales. And yeah, you heard that right, that the UK actually has a massive force of police officers scouring the internet for any repost, retweet, or original content that could theoretically incite whatever the government deems to be racial hatred. And if you engage with or repost that content, you are deemed so dangerous for society that they will arrest and prosecute you. I mean, did we just forget? Seriously?
And here's the big problem with all this stuff. It's just some unelected board that decides what's offensive and what's not. And that metric changes daily. What's common sense language today is offensive and hateful language tomorrow. And none of these people take any common sense measures into account, like the historical use of certain words or phrases. If you're one of the people that are on board with this censorship, how are you going to feel about it tomorrow when they change the rules once again on what's socially acceptable to say, and you end up in front of a jury trying to defend yourself?
What the is going on in the United Kingdom? Y'all all right? I've seen some news coming out of there that is insane. For example, this guy apparently posted a racist comment on Facebook, and he got 15 weeks in jail. This guy was selling anti-immigration stickers. He got sentenced to 24 months in prison. However, this guy repeatedly raped a 12-year-old girl and was sentenced to 180 hours of community service with no prison time. I'm sorry, what? Oh, and by the way, America, we're not any better off. In the great state of Minnesota, under the leadership of the new potential Democrat VP, this 20-year-old dude, Muhammad Bakari Shea, he was convicted of raping 2 girls ages 4 and 8 and continued to rape them for years. He got sentenced to 180 days in a local jail. I guess this isn't a question of what's wrong with the UK. I guess this is more a question is what is wrong with people? What the is wrong with our justice system? How do racist comments get you 15 weeks? Anti-immigration stickers get you 24 months. Graping 12-year-olds gets you 180 hours of community service. Graping 4 and 8-year-olds get you 180 days in jail. And by the way, if you think all of those are fair sentences, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to know who you are.
I can tell you exactly what's causing this here in the States, and I would imagine that it's the same thing causing it in the UK. The federal government is allowing all these illegals in with extensive criminal histories, releasing violent offenders or not charging violent offenders, and then locking up the people who have a problem with it so they can create as much chaos as possible to destroy the system with hopes of rebuilding it into a communist dictatorship. It's so obvious. They literally praise the socialist and communist forms of government publicly, and people still aren't waking up to it. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I post a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock. It would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me. Also, don't forget to check out the podcast. We just released a new episode last Monday. Link is in the description.
First, carbon tax on agriculture. Now, the Danish government is planning on taxing farmers up to 80 quid for every single cow to encourage less meat consumption and to tackle climate change. Well, Danish ministers hope the proceeds from the tax to help farmers to go green. Well, is this an utterly mad policy, or do policymakers deserve a pat on the back? To discuss it, I'm joined now by the agricultural policy analyst for the Consumer Choice Centre, Bill Wirtz. Bill, welcome to the show. A meat tax sounds like yet another sinister nudge to make us all vegans. And what about the impact on the farming industry in Denmark?
Oh, it's definitely going to be a big one. I mean, the Danish government just did this because they did poorly in the European elections. The Green Party did pretty well, so now they decided to make meat more expensive for everyone.
Policymakers do not deserve a pat on the back for this. None of these laws are passed to provide for the people. What good is it going to do to have people start eating bugs instead of beef? It's not going to do any good. In fact, it's going to create a lot of health issues because our bodies aren't designed to break down the chitin in most of these insects' exoskeletons. Not to mention the flurry of possible side effects that you're exposing yourself to by eating this stuff. And even though they're trying to hide that information, you can still find old forums and stuff breaking down the dangers of eating insects. If this is what they want to push us into, it's not to save the planet. The planet being saved means nothing if we aren't here to enjoy it.
So it begins.
I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder, shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology. Violent disorder, clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime.
They bring in people from different nationalities, different religion beliefs, different ideologies, and stick them all together. Shockingly, they don't get on. Then they complain about violent rising crime, children get stabbed, and now they enact a communist-style surveillance state and strip citizens of their privacy and freedom. Very much like 1984. There's people in the comments calling me racist, saying I'm bigoted and I hate people of different colours. No. I see what's going to happen. And Ireland is still free from this, and I want it to remain that way.
I personally feel like what's going on in the UK needs to be blasted on every television channel in the West as a warning of what's likely to come. This whole situation should be a wake-up call to the world, and it would be if it were being broadcast. That's why they're so diligent in stopping the spread of the protests and the riots.
I think at least 50% of UFOs have been seen entering and exiting the oceans.
Right, yes.
And so they're also called USOs. Well, okay, where are they coming from? I mean, 70% of the Earth's surface is water.
Which has been mostly unexplored.
Yeah, I go into this, something like 5% of the ocean surface has been unexplored. So just wrap your mind around that for a minute.
No, I'm with you.
It doesn't make any sense. We have detailed Google maps of Mars, and 5% only of our own ocean has been explored. Why? Who doesn't want us looking at the ocean floor? In my book, Closer Encounters, there's a whole section where I go into sub-oceanic engineering that the United States has researched and developed. In other words, detailed blueprints for facilities that the U.S. Navy wanted to build underneath subsurface mountain ranges on the seabed and inside the continental shelves in case of a nuclear war with the Soviet Union.
This has always puzzled me. Why are we not exploring our own oceans? Is there something down there they're trying to stay away from? It just doesn't make any sense. I do think, though, that we likely have alien bases in the ocean, and that's my current best guess as to why we stopped exploring, because we were told to. And until we get some better information, or at least an official explanation, that's all we can do is guess.
13,000 chemicals in fragrance. Fragrance actually has a loophole, so they don't have to disclose any toxins that are in fragrance and in that product. So if you get something like some perfume or some cologne, they don't got to tell you what's in it. And then somebody sprays themselves with arsenic and heavy metals and all these things, and all of a sudden they start having reactions. So if you are going to do anything with fragrance, you can look into organic essential oils. That's the simple solution. You put a little peppermint right on the neck, or a little lavender right on the neck, and that's it. But you don't have to have all this synthetic stuff, and that's part of these industries. Fragrance creates an allergy industry. I mean, even like Febreze. You know, the patent for Febreze talks about when a person sprays Febreze in their house, it will disable their sense of smell and taste. That's what the patent says. Think of how crazy this is. So a person's like, they spray all over, now they can't smell and taste anymore. What does that create? Another business. Each thing creates a new business that never had to exist. It's like an adapter to the adapter to the adapter. But you can't figure out the root cause because you never got rid of the fragrance.
I just threw this in here as a PSA. I had no idea that they could put anything they want into perfumes and they don't have to test it for side effects or label its contents. If that's true, that's a major reason to stay away from that stuff. I don't know if it's true, but I also don't wear perfumes or colognes. If you do, you may want to do a little research on this one.
Core of the Earth is getting ready for a reversal. Every so many tens of thousands of years, this happens. It's normal. It even creates a reversal of Earth's magnetic field. So right now, if you go out to any area where there's volcanic activity and you can get your hand on some volcanic rocks, some really old volcanic rocks, and you take those volcanic rocks and you check the position or the orientation of the atoms, if they're more than 27,000 years old, you will find out that the atoms are oriented opposite. In other words, north is south and south is north, meaning that the Earth's magnetic field is recorded in volcanic rocks, okay? And we know this is basic archaeology 101. This is what they teach you. This is basic stuff. But what's interesting about this is it means that the Earth's magnetic field, it flips every so many tens of thousands of years. On average, around every 26, 27,000 years, the Earth's magnetic field does a flip. Now, what's happening here in this current era, if you begin to research the Earth's magnetic field, you discover that Earth's magnetic field is actually warping and wrinkling in a way that's even letting a lot of radiation and cosmic rays hit the planet because it's bending in a way. And the magnetic north has begun to move. And where is it now? Magnetic north has now moved over Russia. It's actually just now beginning to pass Russia. So it's been ticking away as our magnetic field is preparing itself for a complete flip, south to north and north to south, all right? And so this is interesting because this is what Thoth is talking about here in the Emerald Tablets. He's talking about something that we're experiencing right now today in modern science.
I don't know what to think here. I've heard so many different theories on this and how it's supposed to work. Some of the theories are just wildly interesting to think about, and some of them are so terrifying they've literally kept me up at night worrying about them. I know which theory I hope is true, but the one that seems to be the most likely or that has the most evidence that I've seen is the one that I'm most terrified of. The idea of a pole shift that completely wipes away our atmosphere and destroys everything with mile-high tidal waves, I honestly think that that theory looks the most plausible of everything that I've seen. But I'm crossing my fingers that 7 Club has it right with his quarter theory, and we're just experiencing a naturally occurring slow shift in the poles.
So we found the Emerald Tablets, right? We have them?
Well, there's two differences, the Emerald Tablet and the Emerald Tablets. Apparently the first one was in a museum you can go visit right now. But the Emerald Tablets, that's the one that up to speculation.
So I heard a theory about that, actually. And when you think of a glass tablet, what do you think of? iPad. Like, oh, like these enlightened beings just came down with a glass tablet.
Oh.
It just pieced together this story in my head about how apparently President Eisenhower had a secret meeting with aliens. They would give us technology to control mankind. And in exchange for that, we would have to give them like humans and people to like test on. People who believe that smart tablets in general was technology that was given to us. And if you think about what they said, according to the story, that they're going to give us technology to control people's minds.
I don't think there's anything to this, but I thought it was fun to think about. It's pretty clear that if our government was in contact with aliens, they are getting gifted alien tech. I think that they're trying to imply here that the Emerald Tablets were like an iPad, and that was the technology that was given to the government that was supposed to allow them to control the people. The problem here is we know how the iPad came to be. We know who first created the touch screen and got that working. All the patents are there slowly over time to piece that thing together. It didn't all come out at once. Also, already, we know when they discovered how to control people with television and how that idea came to be because it's all been thoroughly documented. We've actually covered all that on this channel.
We have in Lockheed right now, there are craft that can go to Mars in a few hours. Right now in Lockheed. And this show is talking about like the aliens are traveling at certain percentages of the speed of light. That was one problem I had with it, is the engineering and physics. The other problem I had is the whole show took place within the context of a very reductionist, materialist paradigm that did not acknowledge psi, didn't acknowledge ESP and psychokinesis, and the fact that these aliens would probably have these abilities, you know, to a much greater degree than terrestrial humanity. There is this shack on the side of a highway in California that looks like some nondescript warehouse, small warehouse. And you go into this warehouse, and the whole floor of the warehouse is an elevator. And it drops Lord knows how many hundreds of feet. What this guy said is that they are not only reverse engineering craft from retrieved debris in this facility, but they're actually training pilots to fly them. And he told me that the main problem that they have in that training program is that the pilots experience extreme disorientation because of the warping of space-time by these craft. This is one of the main reasons this technology is being hidden, because they discovered very early on that these are not simply devices with propulsion systems capable of navigating space very quickly, like they can take you from New York to Australia, you know, right? They're flying time machines. They warp time as they traverse space.
Right.
And our pilots don't know how to handle that. They have a very hard time. They get disoriented, temporally disoriented. They get like, their sense of the passage of time gets really messed with. The technological singularity is this moment when you have a convergent advancement of all kinds of technologies, from genetic engineering to nanotech to artificial intelligence, cybernetics, and so forth. And they start to advance exponentially, so that it's no longer a curve slowly sloping up, right? It becomes a spike on a graph. The curve becomes a spike. There's such an acceleration in the development of these technologies, and any one of them facilitates breakthroughs in the others at such a speed where all of them converge in a way that the human mind is no longer capable of wrapping itself around. And we call it a singularity or a spike on the graph of the history of human technological development, because past that spike, we can't project anymore from the past into the future. It's a limit on our human capacity to project what future developments may take place on the other side of that singularity.
There's two things in that I want to address. One, he says that we have craft that can make it to Mars and back in about 4 hours. I've heard whistleblower testimony in regards to UFOs saying that they've been watching the skies and nothing has been recorded entering or leaving our atmosphere. So if that's true, then that statement was a lie. If they could do that, I think it would only make sense that they'd be making that trip on a regular basis to conduct secret missions on Mars. And the second thing is, if he's saying that we haven't been told about this technology because we can't physically handle it, that makes no sense to me. They're clearly using this tech, as there's been whistleblowers speaking of witnessing crafts being piloted by what appeared to be American soldiers. So they can train a pilot. So why would they worry about the passengers being disoriented? They wouldn't. They'd leave it up to the consumer to decide if they want to fly on a typical commercial aircraft or if they wanted to get on the alien designed craft and save 9 hours. There's a lot of money to be made with an aerospace advancement like that. I think that has nothing to do with why they aren't releasing this tech. They aren't releasing it because they don't want the other guys to get their hands on it. That's my opinion. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And check out www.barry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat and help me support the channel. I greatly appreciate anyone who's ordered anything off of there so far. Also, don't forget to post your photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.